Mike McCool here with the Royal Examiner. I'm standing at the gazebo tonight. Tonight is the second annual, let me get the correct title so I don't make a mistake, the second annual Sexual Assault Awareness Candlelight Vigil. With me is Kellyanne Harris and Leslie Hardesty. They're with the Laurel Center. Tell us a little bit about what we're going to be seeing tonight.
Sure. So tonight is really just a peaceful assembly to celebrate survivors of sexual violence and the allied professionals and family members that work with them and support them.
And I see we got the high school choir going to be speaking. Councilmen Sealock will be here giving us some comments, and Bryan Layton and people from the sheriff's office. So how did it go last year?
Last year it went really well. I had speakers from kind of each different entity and discipline throughout the community. What it really is just banding together, uniting, and showing partnerships and how important they are in the community to combating sexual violence. This year, Beth Whitney, who's the choir director for Warren County High School, with open arms, came out and decided she wanted to be a part of this with the kids. The kids have done an excellent job working really hard to come out here and be part of this. Our youth is highly important.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to try to capture what we can on the camera tonight, and we'll get that put up. But we really appreciate all the hard work. I know the Laurel Center does a lot of hard work in our community in Winchester and Front Royal, and we have offices here. So I'll put the information in where people can reach out to you, and we'll do that. So we'll see how it rolls until it gets too dark. All right, thank you. All right.
My name is Leslie Hardesty. I'm the Sexual Assault Program Coordinator for the Laurel Center. The purpose of this event is to bring community awareness to sexual violence and to be a platform of empowerment for survivors to tell their stories or express their feelings through poetry or reading. It is a time for community members and allied agencies to show their support for survivors of sexual violence and to stand in partnership with the Laurel Center's work to end sexual violence in this community. Tonight is about peaceful assembly, honoring and respecting survivors, and shining a light on sexual violence. Let me introduce or call out some of the Laurel Center staff here tonight. If you're a Laurel Center staff, could you raise your hand, please? So please take a look at these folks. If you have any questions, concerns, or during the evening you find yourself triggered by what you're hearing, please seek out one of the Laurel Center staff. We're here for you, and we'll do what we can to assist you. Other things, just housekeeping, please remember to throw your trash away. The town of Front Royal was good enough to let us use this property, and we want to leave it as we found it. If you don't have a candle, please go to the table and grab a candle. There'll be a candle lighting ceremony as part of this event. Now I'd like to introduce Kellyanne Harris. She's our sexual assault victim advocate here in Warren County, and she is our MC announcer for the night.
Hello, hello. Oh, that's louder. Good Lord. Thank you guys once again for coming out here this year and making it a great event. So this year we are really humbled to be able to have the Warren County High School Choir here with us. Miss Whitney, Beth Whitney, is the choir director. She, with open arms, along with the students, their eagerness to come out and participate in this was amazing. I had the opportunity to meet and discuss with them a couple weeks ago kind of what this event was and what it looked like, and answer any questions that they had. When I left there, I have to tell you that I was really amazed at their courage and determination and eagerness to come out and participate in this. As you guys know, each of our youth have an amazing voice and are our future leaders, so for them to be a part of it is an amazing thing. Ms. Whitney has two amazing songs that they're going to perform tonight that they've worked really, really hard on, if I could breathe. They worked really hard on. So I think once you guys get to embrace kind of the songs that they perform and see how hard they work, all of you are going to understand how much it is and how much of a voice our youth does have. So without further ado, they are now going to perform Don't Be Seen.
starting to rain. 1 in 9 girls and 1 in 53 boys under the age of 15 experience sexual abuse or assault at the hands of an adult.
Thank you guys very much. Last year, Mayor Hollis Thorpe signed and dedicated a proclamation to Sexual Assault Awareness Month for us. This year, Councilman Bill Sealock will be coming up to read the proclamation for Mayor Hollis Thorpe.
I'm Bill Sealock, Vice President of the Town of Front Royal. I'm here in replacement for the Mayor, Hollis Thorpe. So on behalf of the Mayor and the Town Council, I'd like to present this proclamation to the Laurel Center Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Whereas, every 98 seconds, someone in America is being sexually assaulted. Whereas, Sexual Assault Awareness Month calls attention to the fact that sexual violence is widespread and impacts every community member of the town of Front Royal and county of Warren. And whereas rape, abuse, incest, National Network, RAINN, statistics regarding who the perpetrators are confirm 93% of the victims under the age of 18 know the perpetrators. 59% are acquaintances, 34% are family members, and 7% are strangers. And whereas rape, sexual violence, and sexual harassment impact our community, and statistics show that 1 in every 6 women and 1 in every 33 men has been a victim of an attempted or completed rape in their lifetime. And whereas child sexual abuse prevention must be a priority to confront the reality that 1 in 9 girls and 1 in 53 boys under the age of 18 experience sexual abuse or assault at the hands of an adult. And whereas young people experience heightened rates of sexual violence, youth ages 12 through 17 make up 15% of these statistics. And whereas we must work together to educate our community about sexual violence, prevention, supporting survivors, and speaking out against harmful attitudes and actions. And whereas with leadership and education, we can be successful in preventing sexual violence in the town of Front Royal, county of Warren, by increasing education and awareness and community involvement. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the mayor of the town of Front Royal, and on behalf of the entire town council, join the Laurel Center advocates and communities across the country in playing an active role to prevent sexual violence, along with the United States government and the state of Virginia. I do hereby proclaim April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month.
Of all victims under the age of 18, 66% are from the ages 12 to 17.
Now at this time, Rebecca will come up from the Laurel Center to talk about the teal ribbon.
Good evening. My name is Rebecca Lewis. I am the prevention coordinator at the Laurel Center. As long as there have been people who care about making the world a better place, there have been people advocating for sexual assault awareness. In the United States, wide social activism began in the 1970s with the foundation of the first rape crisis centers and the first U.S. Take Back the Night events. The Violence Against Women Act was passed in 1990, bringing with it much more national coverage of the issue and many more people being aware and engaged in sexual violence prevention. Sexual Assault Awareness Month was first nationally observed in 2001, and advocates nationwide began holding events, marches, observances, and vigils like this one related to sexual violence during the month of April. Teal became the signature color for sexual assault awareness, and wearing a teal ribbon came to symbolize support for ending sexual violence. We believe that those in our community can raise awareness and make a difference in ending sexual violence. We encourage survivors to embrace their voices. No one should feel that they can't share their story. Unfortunately, sexual violence occurs every day in this community, usually in silence. Someone you know may be struggling with this, but we as a community can make a difference. You can be the voice for someone who hasn't embraced theirs yet. We hope you will join us in raising awareness in this issue and look forward to seeing you at upcoming events. Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca. There is no greater feeling than to see a community unite. With that being said, our community leaders play such an important role in this. The Laurel Center would be unable to facilitate our services as smoothly and as efficient as we do if our community leaders were not as community-oriented and involved as they are. The purpose of the next set of individuals to come up here and speak is for the community to better understand the team efforts and continued work that goes into ending sexual violence in this community in regards to the role each discipline plays in that. The first person I would like to introduce has become a vital piece of this community in helping take a stance against sexual violence. His continued efforts to prosecute cases, facilitation of community team meetings, his ability to educate himself and others regarding changes in sexual violence and trauma response, his willingness to integrate a more trauma-informed courtroom has proved to be a positive step forward within the court system, not only for the survivors, but for the integrity of the cases and the Commonwealth as well. We are very pleased to introduce Mr. Bryan Layton, the Assistant Commonwealth Attorney.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Bryan Layton. I'm an Assistant Commonwealth Attorney here in Warren County. I've been such since 2007. I began my career as a prosecutor as a law student, working with different Commonwealth Attorney's Office, internships in Rockingham County, Chesterfield, years of prosecuting in Halifax County before coming here. And from the beginning, my focus has been on dealing with violence, domestic violence, violence against children, and sexual violence. And when we think of violence, the first thing that springs to mind is assaults. Those sorts of acts of violence where there may be a reason, there may be an excuse for it. Self-defense, defending someone else. Sexual violence is altogether different. Beyond the invasive nature of it, beyond the traumatic aspect of it, it leads to feelings, very often, of isolation and loneliness. For the victim, struggling to understand what has happened, wondering pointlessly what they did to deserve it, because they've never done anything to deserve it. And why report it? Why go through this process that is not designed to be friendly to the victim? This strange, painful, tedious, and disheartening process. And for the officer, having to investigate this, dealing with the survivor's pain, struggling to understand what cannot be understood, struggling with the public perceptions, not understanding what this means to the person that has gone through it. None of us want to admit that there are people that walk among us that are capable of doing these things. And with this sort of case, how less are your chances of success at the end of the day? So why go through it? For the victim advocates who have to see the raw pain of the victim, to see their daily struggles going through that process I described, dealing with the impact on the victim's survivor's life, both from what happened, for the near future, and for the long term. And watching that struggle day by day as they go through it. And for the prosecutor, the public perceptions of sex, the double standards our society places upon that. The expansive protections in a system designed to protect the defendant from the government, while often neglecting the victim and their rights in dealing with this. And our basic lack of understanding of what trauma does to people. As a prosecutor, my focus has to be on you as a group, representing you, speaking with your voice, doing what's best for the Commonwealth and for Warren County. But the victim's voice must be heard. And as the victim advocates will tell you, it is considered and deferred to as much as we possibly can, but the system is sometimes unkind to the victim. And due to that, it is always my role and goal to do no further harm in these sorts of situations. These decisions that we make, that the prosecutor makes, that the officers make, that the victim advocates make, they are simply one thing we are deciding. But those decisions impact the victim for a lifetime. So why do this? Because it is simply the right thing to do. Because we stand up for those of us in society. Because we protect each other from the monsters, from the predators. Because that isolation can be combated and overcome by supporting one another. By going through the judicial process together. And that while it's long, awkward, and unfriendly, with all those delays, the bureaucratic issues, the failure to get meaningful sentences as the public would wish, unfortunately we can't publicly execute folks as sometimes are demanded. The laws are the laws and we must uphold them. But change is coming. Change is growing. In my time here, things have improved significantly through our efforts in training, increased resources, increased focus, the Laurel Center, Phoenix Project, mental health professionals, all of us together, and most importantly, the strength and determination of the victims. Let these initial changes give us continued and renewed hope. Hope for better understanding, hope that we can build a better world, one case at a time. So we need to build on that strong start that we have begun. We can and will change this system with a greater focus on treatment of the victims, the survivors of these acts. To that end, we have brought trauma-informed training a month from today to improve the interaction of that first contact between the victim of these horrible acts and law enforcement. Because that isolation can be overcome. Because we recognize that when we work together, we can't be isolated. Because when we do that, we are not alone. Thank you.
Thank you, Bryan. The next person I'd like to introduce in her department, or no exception, Investigator Emily Young exemplifies trauma-informed community policing and truly sets the bar high when it comes to investigating any sexual assault crimes. Investigator Young and her team not only tends to the survivor's needs, but also educates each individual on the resources available to them. She never hesitates to contact us to help and assist with the survivors and to keep us well informed on any status updates. Investigator Young and the department continues to educate themselves in trauma-informed tactics and relaying and helping coordinate those trainings for other pertinent key roles. The department is a team player and continues to strive for ensuring the best cases possible. Her team and her appreciates the Laurel Center's position in cases and is always helpful when we need anything, even if I have 110 questions continuously. It is my pleasure to introduce Investigator Emily Young with the Warren County Sheriff's Office.
Hey, can everybody hear me? Yes. Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Emily Young. I'm an investigator with the Warren County Sheriff's Office. I've been in law enforcement for over 6 years. In that time, I've worked in corrections, court services, patrol, and now investigations. I've come into contact with many, many survivors of sexual assault in each phase of my career, all of which have believed that they are alone. The purpose of this month is to make sure survivors know that they are not alone. We at the Warren County Sheriff's Office want the citizens of Front Royal and Warren County as a whole to know and understand that we believe them and it's okay to talk about it. The Warren County Sheriff's Office continues to collaborate with the Laurel Center, Victim Witness, Front Royal PD, and other allied agencies to help combat sexual violence in Warren County. We continue to strive in efforts to bring those who commit such heinous acts to justice. Our hope is that one day sexual violence will become extinct in our community. We can make a difference. I know I can speak for just about everyone here when I say if we didn't believe we could make a difference, then we would not be here today. With that being said, if you see something, say something. We cannot stress this enough. There's help out there for your friends, family members, or for yourself if you've been a victim of sexual assault. We, as a community, must strive to work together and support one another. Today and every day, let's rally together and put a stop to sexual violence.
Thank you, Emily. The next individual in his department I would like to introduce also displays an amazing amount of integrity and community-aligned policing. Sergeant Jason Winter with the Front Royal Police Department Criminal Investigations Division and his detectives continue to support the Laurel Center in helping put an end to sexual violence. Their continued collaborative efforts with us have proven to be successful with bridging the gaps to reaching survivors and providing the best care possible. There was a time in general with all policing in any type of department that survivors were worried about reporting for lack of believing or victim blaming and shaming. The FRPD-CID has been a pioneer in ensuring that all survivors are treated equally and supported. They continue to increase their knowledge base in trauma-informed care and strive in a team effort to bring forth the best cases possible. It's my pleasure to introduce Sergeant Jason Winter.
Thank you, Kellyanne, for having me here today. Thank you all for coming out and showing your support this afternoon, this evening. It's a pleasure to be here. I want to let you know I started my career here with the Front Royal Police Department in 2001. I spent many years working with Front Royal Police and Patrol, and then I went into investigations, Criminal Investigations Division. We call it CID, or Criminal Investigations Division. Now I'm the sergeant. I get to run that department. I have detectives that work for me, and it's a great position. I would like to share very briefly a story from my career that happened when I was a much younger detective from many years back. I was assigned a case involving a female juvenile that was being sexually assaulted by a relative in her home. I was assigned the case. I went out. In these type of cases, we partnered with Warren County Social Services and we conducted joint investigation, which we did in this case. We went out, to conduct the interview. I sat down and began speaking with the female, gathering the details that would be needed for court purposes. At the end of our talk, I asked her, "Do you have any questions for me?" And she looked at me, and I'll never forget what she asked that day. She asked if I could make them stop. And my answer was yes, absolutely. In a perfect world, we would stop all incidents of sexual assault. As it is, we must work on ways to prevent it from happening, or when it does happen, respond to it and address it appropriately. The Front Royal Police Department is committed to thoroughly investigating all reports of sexual violence within our town. Our department partners with many community resources to respond to incidents of sexual violence. We work hand in hand with the Warren County Sheriff's Office, the Warren County Commonwealth Attorney's Office, the Laurel Center, the Phoenix Project, Warren County Victim Witness Program, Valley Health Sexual Assault Nurse Examiners of the Winchester Medical Center, and Warren County Department of Social Services. Our detectives routinely meet with members of these various agencies as part of a multidisciplinary team developed to improve services to the survivors of sexual assault. Our goal is to provide a team approach to conduct thorough investigations and collaborative efforts to provide the best outcome and the best care for victims. As criminal detectives, our mission is to gather all the facts of the case. There are many hurdles that must be crossed in gathering these facts. Some of those obstacles are caused by embarrassment or shame. Sometimes alcohol or drugs may be a factor that affects the recollection of facts. Other times, fear of not being believed or fear of retaliation creates roadblocks to gathering all the facts in the case. Our job as detectives is not just to gather facts, but also to provide survivors with emotional support and resources for victim services. For these reasons, it's imperative to have our team approach involving victim advocates such as the Laurel Center, Phoenix Project, and Warren County Victim Witness Program. Another area that I feel strongly about is empowering women to believe in themselves through women's self-defense class. The Front Royal Police Department, in collaboration with community partners, especially the Laurel Center, we conduct periodic women's self-defense classes which are offered free of charge to the public. These self-defense classes are taught by myself and other officers and offer information about situational awareness and practical hands-on techniques. We have not scheduled our next class yet, but fingers crossed, we'll schedule one in our new police headquarters when we get moved in there. Follow us on social media for updates for that next class. In closing, I would once again like to thank everyone for showing their support by coming out tonight. I firmly believe in using a team approach to cases of sexual violence, which provides for the best outcome. I would like to thank the community partners for their continued diligence. And finally, just a few tips from for your personal safety directly from our women's self-defense class. Bad things happen every day, but you can refuse to be a victim and choose to be a winner. Remember to be safe, be aware of your surroundings. Look, listen, and feel. If you feel something isn't right, trust your instincts and get out of the situation. And if you have to fight, you fight to win. Surviving is a byproduct of winning. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. This year, our next speaker is someone who demonstrates the ability to unite survivors and all team players together. Candy Dixon with the Warren County Victim Witness, as the Victim Witness Director, continues to support the Laurel Center in both the courtroom and outside the courtrooms. Her eagerness to ensure that the cases run as smoothly as possible is exceptional, and her efforts to keep the team on a case as a whole well-informed is vital. She believes in supporting victims and allowing them the opportunity to be heard. Ms. Dixon provides support within the courtrooms to the Commonwealth attorneys and the survivors. She meets with the Laurel Center regularly to recap cases and make sure if there are any gaps, they are no longer there. The collaboration on her part with all other entities sets the example of how community partners should work together for the good of the case and the community. I'm very pleased to introduce Ms. Candy Dixon with the Warren County Victim Witness Program.
I'm Candy Dixon, the Director of the Warren County Sheriff's Office Victim Witness Program. I thank the Laurel Center for allowing me to come and speak this evening. One part of my job is to make sure that the victims that come to us are served with the appropriate resources and the attention and respect that they deserve. Part of that would be my referral to either the Phoenix Project for Domestic Violence or the Laurel Center for Sexual Assault. At least I know that when I have this referral that I need to be made, I have every confidence in the Laurel Center when I send victims their way. The good part about it as well is that we are all able to meet on a weekly basis regarding cases. We are also able to communicate regularly with the Commonwealth Attorney's Office, the Front Royal Police Department, or the Warren County Sheriff's Office. One of the other things is very helpful that during the court process, we are able to always communicate to the victim the status of the cases, the outcome of the cases, and we are able to have the voice of the victims heard in the courtroom. Thank you.
Thank you, Candy. This year, we have added another very important community leader, one that represents our youth. Greg Drescher, Warren County Public School Superintendent, is here to represent the school division and how they are making efforts to combat sexual violence within our school systems. The Laurel Center continues to meet with school officials, guidance counselors, and other roles to integrate our services where appropriate. With continued talks and efforts, we look forward to collaboration within the schools for preventative and proactive measures. The counselors continue to refer the Laurel Center where necessary and communicate with us when a question is needing an answer or where to turn for what. We appreciate everything the schools are doing to combat sexual violence, and the Laurel Center looks for great partnerships in the near future to help increase that. Without further ado, Mr. Greg Drescher.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Kellyanne and Laurel Center for inviting the schools to be a part of this important event this evening. The public school system stands against all forms of sexual assault and violence. We combat these actions in two primary ways. One, through education and support. We believe that education about appropriate interactions with each other can be helpful. Our partnership with the Warren Coalition offers a variety of programs, among them activities that address healthy relationships and boundaries. Several schools have partnered with the Department of Social Services to sponsor Hugs and Kisses, a musical program that addresses good touch, bad touch, and secret touch principles. There are also programs in our schools, such as therapeutic day treatment and counseling services that can also focus on healthy relationships and appropriate boundaries and our prevention strategies against sexual violence. As mentioned, we have a strong partnership with the Laurel Center, as you probably know. We have some awesome supports for our students: crisis intervention, support groups, child therapy, legal advocacy, hospital companionship, and they also support with outreach and education. We are very pleased to be able to work with our community partners to educate and, when needed, support victims. We welcome any other ideas to continue on this trek to combat sexual assault. Please do not hesitate to contact our schools if you have a need or an idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Next up, we have Amy, who is going to speak about Denim Day.
Can everybody hear me? Even in the back? Awesome. All right, so I'm here to talk to you guys a little bit about an event called Denim Day. Denim Day is a rape prevention education campaign where we ask community members, elected officials, businesses, and students to make a social statement with their fashion statement and wear jeans as a visible means of protesting misconceptions that surround sexual assault. This year, Denim Day is on Wednesday, April 24th. So let me give you a little bit of a backstory about what exactly Denim Day is and why it's what it is. Italy, 1992. An 18-year-old girl is picked up by her married 45-year-old driving instructor for her very first lesson. He takes her to an isolated road, pulls her out of her car, wrestles her out of one leg of her jeans, and rapes her. Threatened with death if she tells anyone, he makes her drive the car home. Later that night, she tells her parents, and they help and support her to press charges. The perpetrator gets arrested and is prosecuted. He is convicted of rape and sentenced to jail. He appeals the sentence all the way to the Italian Supreme Court. Within a matter of days, the case against the driving instructor is overturned, dismissed, and the perpetrator is released. In a statement by the chief judge, he argued, quote, Because the victim wore very, very tight jeans, she had to help him remove them. And by removing the jeans, it was no longer rape, but consensual sex. Enraged by the verdict, the women in the Italian parliament launched into immediate action and protested by wearing jeans to work. You can make a Denim Day fundraiser at your business as well. You can either check out our Facebook page or talk to anyone here, but the point is to wear tight denim jeans to show just that. Thank you.
Another stat reading.
The effects of child sexual abuse can be long-lasting and affect the victim's mental health. Victims are more likely than non-victims to experience the following mental health challenges. About 4 times more likely to develop symptoms of drug abuse. About 4 times more likely to experience PTSD as adults. And about 3 times more likely to experience a major depressive episode as adults.
Thank you. Next, we are going to talk about the lighting of the candles. So if you do have a lighter out there, we have some at the back table, but we're going to get ready to do that here in a minute. Anne Frank said it well. Look at how a single candle can both defy and define the darkness. When we get ready to give light to these candles, you are not only lighting this area, you are lighting the community, and you're lighting the world. You are giving hope to survivors. You are representing resiliency as a community, and you are becoming an agent for change. As a community, your voices have the right to be heard. The community you want to live in and engage in, you have a right to mold. As it only takes one flame to light another and another, it only takes one voice to inspire another and yet another. Each of you are a beacon of light. You are this community. At this time, the Warren County Choir members will begin the lighting of the candles. Once the first candle is lit, then everybody else can start lighting theirs. Please, please, please be conscientious of everyone around you. We don't want any burning. So we can start that.
Sexual violence never discriminates.
Mothers.
Father.
Brother.
Sister. Aunt.
Uncle.
Grandma.
Grandpa.
Cousin.
Friend. Co-worker. Child. Adult. Elder.
Disabled and non-disabled.
Military.
At this,
Law enforcement.
Schools.
Churches.
Home.
so at this time, Phil with our organization is going to come up and introduce the next set of individuals.
Hello everyone, good evening there. My name is Phil. At this time, we want to open up this space for some of our survivors to speak. We want to use this time and be aware that this is also open to those who want to come out and speak out as well. We ask that you be respectful of all of our speakers coming out there, as this is a moment for both empowerment for themselves as our own.